I mean, on the backside, there's all sorts of plumbing, and the cellar is down in there, the chimneys. I just thought people lived here, but you had, if you had a mill, you had to keep warm in the wintertime. Gotta have a fire. But if you look at this, see this roadway going out here? Well, this goes for about 100 yards. What's amazing is the amount of effort and energy and money that it took to maintain this property. So for a long time, people were living here. My understanding of the story is they were here until 1940, and like 1937, there was a flood. And the bridge to Fredericksburg, which we'll look at in just a moment, got washed away. And the family that owned this and lived here, they rebuilt that bridge. And 3 years later, it washed away again. And that's when they said, okay, they never rebuilt the bridge. It's my understanding that this bridge washed out for the second time in 3 years in 1940. So 1940, this washes out. That was, the people that lived here did not rebuild the bridge. They made that decision, and nobody's lived here since. But you can look across the river and see where the other side, where the bridge abutment, where it went into. So pretty amazing to look at some of this. Think about what's going on here over the years. Learn about John Smith being here in 1608 on his second circumnavigation of the Chesapeake Bay. The second time he went around the Chesapeake Bay, he came here, right to this island. But you can see that they cut rock to extend that island and pour some water up in here. Now, in our movie Rappahannock, we talk about Hunter's Iron Works, that there was an ironworks operating here in the Revolutionary War era, and they actually made barrels that led to the guns that George Washington used in his army. So lots of things happening here of interest for a long time. An interesting point is mid 1800s, 1850, maybe just around the Civil War era, Mary Ellen Wheeler tells us that the people that owned this went to Monticello and got grapevines from Monticello and tried to establish grapes here. A vineyard. Well, I'm told that the Monticello grapes didn't take, but other grapes did, and we certainly have wild grapes here, and we're going to look at the ruins of the wine-making house. Okay, I like that. And there was the carriage house and winemaking and all these foundations through here. So my understanding is these were barns. Because we know it was farmed.
This is farmland?
Mm-hmm. It was farmland. So, up until, like, you know, early 20th century.
Could have been plantations.
It was run like a plantation, and I'm sure it was at one point. Certainly was. But, and there have been some minor digs here. Ms. Wheeler talks about some of the Indian relics that have been found, and we're talking about early woodland, like before 1600s. That there's some artifacts that have been found from here, and of course there was, you know, woodland Indians, you know, the Powhatan tribe type people here when John Smith got here in 1608, and the colonists didn't really take over this part of the river for close to 75 years, something like that. So there were Indians here when John Smith got here. Lots of relics have been found. Pretty cool.
Oh, Tessa.
Because they planted cedar trees to make their fence rows, right? Cedars are weather resistant. You can cut them off. They make great fence posts. They're natural fence posts. So look here, you can see this driveway was fenced.
So this is the main road.
This is the main road that ran the center of the island. But you can see how the cedars line it.
Yeah.
So those cedars were established for that reason.